Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Edge Fantasy Football. I am Bryce, your host. Now, today I am going to be talking about second round running backs. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because I think there's a lot of running backs in the league this year that are in the second round that are huge difference makers and even league winners coming off in the second round, guys. So, the four running backs that I really want to talk about are Austin Ekeler, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, and Najee Harris. So, I'm going to start with Aaron Jones because this is a guy, guys, that comes in every year and is vastly underrated as far as a fantasy standpoint coming into the season because this dude is a literal touchdown machine and an efficiency machine. I mean, every time he touches the ball, it's like something big happens, right? So a lot of the question marks involving Aaron Jones this year are to do with A.J. Dillon. Now, people think that since A.J. Dillon is the clear number 2 in Green Bay now, that he's going to steal a lot of Aaron Jones's work on the 1, 2, 3 yard line and get those short, easy touchdowns, right? But here's the deal, guys, okay? Green Bay is a big play offense. And, when they're on the 5, 10, 15 yard line, they're not going to be handing the ball to A.J. Dillon to run, pound forward for 1 or 2 yards. He's a big, strong, impressive guy, but he's just not really that. A.J. Dillon's not a big play running back, all right? He's only used to, move the pile forward, a yard or two when they need a first down or a touchdown, right? So, that being said, Aaron Jones is just such a dynamic weapon. I mean, say Green Bay is on the 5, 10, 15, 20 yard line, I mean, they could even line Aaron Jones up as just a straight up wide receiver. I mean, they do that. I mean, they literally line him up as a wide receiver and just have him run around, score a touchdown. And he catches a ton of passes out of the backfield. So this guy is going to be a PPR monster this year. There is no version of him not scoring at least 12 touchdowns. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, look, Green Bay is an extremely efficient offense. My only real question mark with Aaron Jones coming into the year was Aaron Rodgers going to be Green Bay's quarterback? Now that Aaron Rodgers is Green Bay's quarterback, them moving down the field and getting the ball in the end zone is an inevitability. So, it's an elite talent on a super duper efficient offense, possibly, the best offense in football this year, so the dude's going to score touchdowns. He's going to get you, 10, 15, even those 20, 25-yard plays every now and then. He's going to catch 5 or 6 passes a game. And look, the last 2 years he had Jamal Williams running behind him, and he still finished as a top 5 running back. And think about that. I mean, it's not like Aaron Jones was getting 90% of the carries and Jamal Williams was getting 10. I mean, no, Jamal Williams was literally coming in and stealing a lot of Aaron Jones's work because, Jamal Williams is also a talented running back, and they wanted to do a running back committee kind of thing. Aaron Jones was a clear-cut starter, but Jamal Williams was still, cutting into his workload quite a bit. So, now you're telling me that with Jamal Williams gone, just because A.J. Dillon's the number 2, all of a sudden Aaron Jones's numbers are going to go down? I mean, they're gonna go up. I mean, his clear-cut number 2 running back behind him is gone. Okay, his numbers should go up. Nothing's a guarantee in fantasy, but there's a high likelihood of him having his best season ever. And that's saying a lot because the last 2 seasons, he's been a fantasy monster. So he has a legitimate chance this year as finishing as the running back 1. The number 1 running back in fantasy is a real possibility, okay? And barring an injury, I don't see any way in heck he finishes outside the top 8. So, massive ceiling, high floor, and just a running back that, fantasy football is all about eliminating risk with your early picks, right? You are eliminating risk by drafting Aaron Jones because there is no question mark, about the offense, about the workload, about the talent. I mean, everything points in a positive direction for Aaron Jones. So if he's on the board in, early second round, say you're in a 10 or a 12-man league and you've got the first, second, third pick of the second round, and Aaron Jones is on the board. That is an incredible value, guys. You need to scoop up Aaron Jones in that spot. I would even draft Aaron Jones on the back end of the first round in a 10-man league. Say I was the 7th, 8th, or 9th pick, I would take Aaron Jones with one of those picks. There's a few running backs that, I'm drafting ahead of him. I'm going to draft Zeke ahead of him because I'm big on the Cowboys offense this year and Zeke's talent level. But there's a lot of times where Aaron Jones is slipping to the second round, and at that point, you are getting a huge steal and a great value for Aaron Jones. So make sure to draft Aaron Jones this year, guys. This guy can win you your league. Okay, the second running back I wanted to talk about, and this is a pretty cool one, is Joe Mixon. Okay, now don't shy away from Joe Mixon this year, guys. Joe Mixon is an elite talent. Okay, he's on an offense that's going to be much improved. Look, the Cincinnati Bengals drafted 3 new offensive linemen. Okay, so they definitely bolstered up the offensive line, and Joe Mixon was, his efficiency was decent even before the offensive line. Even when the offensive line was a question mark, Joe Mixon was an efficient running back when he's healthy. So, there's the recency bias in football, and we all fall into it. Joe Mixon was hurt last year, so I'm not going to draft him. Guys, that's poor logic. Just because he was hurt last year doesn't mean that he's going to get hurt this year. Every year is different in the NFL. There's no reason to think that Joe Mixon cannot have a healthy, productive season this year, guys. He's also got Joe Burrow helping him move the ball down the field, and the Cincinnati Bengals have talented wide receivers, so this should be an efficient offense. And not only is he going to get a ton of touches, and he's going to get a ton of touches, he's going to get an opportunity to score touchdowns, okay? And look, Giovanni Bernard is gone, guys. He was stealing a lot of Joe Mixon's passing work, and now Joe Mixon is going to be used as much more of a pass-catching, kind of the modern-day hybrid running back that, rushes and catches passes. He's going to be doing it all this year. So there's a quite literal possibility that Joe Mixon has more volume this year in the rushing and passing game than he's ever had in his entire career. And he's going into his 5th season. He's still young. He's extremely talented, and he's on an offense. The Cincinnati Bengals offense is going to be putting up points, guys. I mean, this is an offense that is going to be putting the ball in the end zone, and Joe Mixon is going to be getting a lot of those touchdowns. So if you see Joe Mixon on the board in the middle of the second round, you're already getting a really, really good value. If you're seeing him on the board late in the second round in the 10 or a 12-man league, guys, this is an absolute steal at this point, okay? Draft Joe Mixon. I would even draft Joe Mixon at the beginning of the second round, okay? Like, say, you're in the 10-man league and Joe Mixon's, you got the second pick of the second round, right? Joe Mixon's on the board. I would go ahead and draft him right there. I'm confident enough to draft Joe Mixon. Even if somehow, Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams, you're in a league where people like drafting running backs, and Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams or Stephon Diggs is right there on the board, and those picks look so juicy because, you could have that super elite wide receiver. Guys, a workhorse running back is always significantly more important for your success in fantasy than a wide receiver. I would draft Joe Mixon above any wide receiver, and yes, that includes Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, a super elite receiver, guys. I like those guys, but I'm taking Joe Mixon in front of any of those wide receivers without hesitation. Okay, so if you can get Joe Mixon mid to late second round, incredible value. If you can get him at the beginning of the first round, that's as early as I would draft him. I wouldn't draft him in the first round like I would Aaron Jones, but go ahead and draft Joe Mixon at the beginning of the second round without hesitation, guys. He's that much of a difference maker for your fantasy team that he is worth an early second round pick. Okay, so the next running back that I wanted to talk about was Austin Ekeler. Now, Austin Ekeler, man, I love this guy. Okay, Austin Ekeler is a very dynamic player. Okay, so they use him so much in the passing game. I mean, they use him in the passing game like almost more than they hand him the ball off. But, I mean, this dude can run the football. I mean, he's a little bit undersized, but he can still run you over. He's a tough dude. He can run around you. I mean, this guy can do it all. Austin Ekeler is one of the most talented running backs in this league, okay? And there's a lot of people that, it's widely agreed upon that he is the best pass-catching running back in football. And I'm not going to argue with that. I mean, the dude is an elite receiving talent. And they line, like the Packers do with Aaron Jones. Sometimes they'll just line Austin Ekeler up as a wide receiver and have him go run a route. They're not worried about his ineptitude as a wide receiver being a running back. The dude is a literal wide receiver. Okay. And he's going to get such an incredible amount of volume this year, guys. Volume is key in fantasy, right? So Austin Ekeler is going to get a ton of rushing volume. He's a clear-cut number one running back, absolutely no competition. He's going to get tons of passing volume like always. And this offense is going to be good, guys, okay? Justin Herbert is a talented quarterback. He's got a super elite number one wide receiver to help him move the ball down the field in Keenan Allen. And, guys, this team is going to score a lot of touchdowns, okay? And I promise you Austin Ekeler is going to have a large percentage of those touchdowns, all right? So Obviously a PPR monster, this guy. I mean, this guy is going to, man, he could have games where he could have a game where he catches you 10 passes. I mean, this dude catches a lot of passes. You know, all signs point in a positive direction for Austin Ekeler. Um, don't get caught up in the fact that, okay, last year he only had 3 touchdowns, right? But look, guys, he was the running back 8 last year, and he had 3 touchdowns. Think about that. Think about if this guy regresses to the mean and gets the allotted amount of touchdowns that he really should, which is more like 10 or 12, right? He was a number 8 running back with only 3 touchdowns. I mean, just think about that, okay? So he regresses to the mean and gets 10 or 12 touchdowns this year, okay? He even has the upside to have 15 or 16 touchdowns, right? He is going to get you a ton of fantasy points. And this guy has a legitimate shot, in my opinion, this year is finishing as one of the top 4 running backs in the NFL. And guys, he's slipping to the beginning of the 3rd round. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I would draft this guy without hesitation at the beginning of the 2nd round. I would draft him at the beginning of the 2nd round. I really would. Easily at the mid to late round pick, Austin Ekeler. If he's on the board, scoop him up, guys, easily. If he slips to the 3rd round and you have an early 3rd round pick and you get a chance to draft Austin Ekeler and you pass on him, you are crazy. Okay, Austin Ekeler is a huge difference maker for your fantasy team. He's got amazing upside. He's got a high floor. There's not going to be any week where they're not using him a ton. His usage is going to be incredible. His talent's incredible. His opportunities to score touchdowns this year are going to be really, really good. So this guy has tremendous ceiling, a high floor. I mean, there's not going to be many weeks where Austin Ekeler gets you less than 13 or 15 points in a PPR league. I mean, this guy is guaranteed production week in and week out. Now, the last running back I wanted to talk about, there's a few question marks around this guy, but, definitely not from a talent standpoint, right? Okay, Najee Harris, right? Najee Harris is a talented running back. He's a big, strong dude, lacks in the speed department a little bit, but this dude can run you over. And, even for a guy that doesn't have an incredible 40 time, I mean, he's got a pretty quick first step, and he's for a big guy, he moves pretty well. So, this is a guy that is going to have a ton of opportunities to score touchdowns. They're using him as a clear-cut number 1 workhorse running back in Pittsburgh. Big Ben's coming back as the quarterback. When does Pittsburgh not have a high-scoring offense? That's what I want to say, okay? Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson. Okay, this team is not going to have trouble moving the ball down the field, guys. They're going to move the ball down the field. They're going to be the typical super high-scoring offense that they are every year. And, Najee Harris is going to get all the goal line work, and he's going to score some touchdowns, guys. I mean, Najee Harris, I'm looking at, a minimum. I'm going to say he scores a minimum of 7 touchdowns this year, and that's the absolute floor. The upside is kind of like, 15 touchdowns, I mean, he can score a lot of touchdowns this year. He's going to get a ton of usage. He's going to get a ton of yardage. You have no worries with the overall efficiency of the offense. So Najee Harris is a very safe pick in the 2nd round. Do not hesitate to draft Najee Harris, okay? Most of the drafts have him going around 15, 16. I think that's about right where he belongs. I wouldn't reach for an early 2nd round pick on Najee Harris like I would do with Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Austin Ekeler. But if middle of the 2nd round, absolutely drafting Najee Harris is a great decision. Late 2nd round, easily, without hesitation. Early 3rd round, by the time you get to the early 3rd round, guys, if Najee Harris is somehow still on the board, and it's a possibility, it happens in some leagues, he is at this point a massive steal. If you see Najee Harris on the beginning of the board in the 3rd round, you click his name without any hesitation because you're getting a great value there for Najee Harris. All right. So those are the 4 running backs I wanted to talk about today, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave comments below. Let me know what you agree with, don't agree with. My overall goal here is to just help you guys win your fantasy leagues. And to just give you, my opinion. Obviously, it's up to you who you plug into your lineup on game day. But, if you could just take one piece of advice that I give you and it helps you win your league or win a week, I'm happy with that, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're going to get to you next, probably talking about first and second round wide receivers, why to draft some of them, why to not draft some of them, etc. So you guys have a good night, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.